Alright, all you music makers, video game players, entertainers, streetlight crusaders, listeners of the madness, game show contestants, and especially you, I guess, telemarketers that are going to be waking up within the next hour and a half to bug me on the phone. Welcome to another very special Milestone Morning Fog edition of A Work in Progress. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, and my God, what a merry month of May this turned out to be. I said on many occasions, on many shows, this feels like a vacation of sorts, but the only vacation part we really felt about this whole Maycation we had for this year was the fact that we were wearing cool Hawaiian shirts, one of those fedoras that my dad had upstairs, along with a Hawaiian shirt or Hawaiian hat that we had that was made out of straw, and I guess the makeshift hammock that we broke the third week in for this vacation. Yeah, it actually happened during, I think, Music Village, while we were just sitting there about to do the video game news part, leaned back a little bit too far than we should have, and the whole thing just tumbled over. And there it lies since then. Yeah, we're not rebuilding that. I don't trust it. But besides, hammocks and a whole bunch of crazy things, this show, ladies and gentlemen, this morning was a spur of a moment thing. Because originally, we were going to do this show middle of the night on Wednesday night and just call it. Just say, hey, we did it Wednesday night. We don't need to do another show immediately after the Tuesday night special. And I kid you not when I say this, we are about an hour and 45 minutes removed from the Tuesday night special. Maybe an hour and 15. I might be off on that one, but nevertheless, yeah, the only reason this show took place is because the second we walked outside after we decided to drop our dad off at work, we saw outside, me and the maestro, just sitting there. We looked out and said, man, what a beautiful morning fog. And then I said, hey, wait a minute, did you say morning fog? And he said, yeah, morning fog. And then he rolled his eyes and said, oh no, you really don't think you're going to be able to have that much energy left in you to try to do a morning show, seeing the fact that you haven't done a morning show in years. And I just rebutted by saying, yeah, we got enough left in the tank to actually pull off a morning fog for this morning. Granted, it's a work in progress, but in reality, it's the morning fog, and it's the first one we've done in well over, 3-4 years? I don't even remember. It's been so long since we've done a morning fog, I almost forgot all the show parts that used to be a part of it. I do remember there was something called Morning Madness where we would ask you fans out there, what is the craziest morning routine you would have? And this morning, I guess, after being up for well over 12 hours, trying to do a morning show while, snacking on a muffin. Yeah. That's the only energy we got left in us for a morning muffin to help boost us to go along with this show. And also to continue with our crazy morning routine, we almost ran out of gas on the way here. The car decided to go and make that funny noise when it's just about to run out of gas and go ree, and I was like, uh-oh, wait a second. My car's about to run out of gas. So I pulled into the station, and we waited there for about 10 minutes. 10 full minutes, because the service station didn't open until around 6. Now, the guy at the station thought I was upset about the fact that I had to sit there and wait for 10 minutes, but I was able to listen to Major Tom to Ground Control. I think the song was actually called Major Tom, and was even able to listen to the song Fame, which reminded me of this movie, and I can't remember the name of it of the life of me. All I know is it involved this guy from another country who videotaped everything that went on since he visited this country, all the way up until the end where he would get shot by police by accident, and next thing you know, he would record his own death right in front of the Statue of Liberty for his brother to get taken into jail. Yeah. Sad ending to the movie, but it had a cool cover of the song Fame in there, and yeah, I think I still have that song, right next to Dust Junkie's Fever. And as a matter of fact, to tie this all in, there was this YouTuber that's online that does retro games and just got done playing the first Driver game to the fullest, and I do believe he already played Driver 2 and Driver 3, which I may go back and watch one day, and at the same time, still looking on eBay for Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. What I meant to say was Driver 3 along with Max Payne 2, because we've got some unfinished business with both of those games, because we still need to beat them in order to actually finish up the series for all of them. Because I don't think we're going to be playing Driver 76 or Driver Parallel Lines with the whole Ghost Tanner mode, even though that Driver Parallel Lines is actually a direct sequel after Driver 3. And the only reason I know that is because Jericho is featured in that game. The cool guy with the double-barreled or the twin double-barreled shotguns that he used during Driver 2. Which, by the way, still love that song Dust Junkie's Fever, and I'm pretty sure that guy who had a retro page had the song Fever a part of it. According to the Maestro, yes he did. He included the entire cutscene of the Vegas scene where they rolled up into Vegas with all those weapon shipments, and it had the song Dust Junkie Fevers in it. Or Dust Junkie Fever in it. Yeah. And if you're hearing in the background right now a whole bunch of traffic, I kid you not, folks, this is a morning show that was a spur of the moment thing. And speaking of more spur of the moment things we've done in the past couple of days, I do believe 2 weeks ago for the Indie Radio Arcade, that intro that we did, we tested the background music because somebody asked me online, why in the world didn't you use the Techno Axe song to open up the Indie Radio Arcade? We were screwing around trying to come up with a new background theme for the intro for the Indie Radio Arcade just for laughs, and decided to use the song we made just to do the Indie Radio Arcade. And we had to test it by doing the intro, and when we did the intro, that was the intro for this week's show. Or for last week's show. This week's episode of the Indie Radio Arcade, and we might as well clue you guys in, will feature not only the Jason Statham movie of Death Race. We would have did Death Race 2000, but it's a Jason Statham Appreciation Movie Month, so we're gonna do Death Race. Then in the near future, most likely around November, during the month of instant classicness, we're gonna probably do Death Race 2000 and the original Crazies. And if you think I won't remember that, Maestro's writing it down now as we speak. And the game we have up to wrap up this month, I do believe is going to be South Park Rally Days. And for the video game story, and we just thought of this right now, is probably going to be the Terminator incident that happened to us in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Yeah, and according to the Maestro, that's probably the most recent video game that we'll be able to mention for a video game story in well over 3 years. Wow. Maybe even longer than that, but either way, we started this month off with Terminators, we're gonna finish this month off with Terminators. And as a matter of fact, the Maestro said the same thing. We did start off this month with Terminator 3, and we're ending it off with a Terminator side story. which should be pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Even though what Juju did during that video game story was heinous, it was funny. It was absolutely funny. And we got another question in from someone asking, Dear DJ Smokey, why in the world was this show late this week? Well, apparently for the Tuesday night special, we had to help out a friend with the gold heist for Grand Theft Auto Online, and we were just about to finish off the rest of the results from Monday Night Raw. Once we went in there and helped them out, then he gave us a very interesting story about chainmail and the fact that he created a metal scarf. That I do remember we said during the Tuesday night special for this week. But we also started talking about a couple of the cool vehicles he wanted to get. And for someone who plays Grand Theft Auto, he seemed very content with only the Insurgent pickup. It's rare. Usually most people, me included, would try to go for as many weaponized vehicles as possible, but he was just content with one. And I respect that, really do. And before we go any further into the show, and we already know we're going to thank him again, we just realized that Technoax, who's been on a roll with a couple of cool songs, he came out with a song that was called Meat Burger or Meat Wagon. I keep forgetting it. I think it's Meat Wagon. And the song he came up with, yeah, Meat Burger. Thank you, Maestro. And I said the second that this whole quarantine thing is over, I'm gonna go into a burger shop or restaurant and play this song while I'm eating a burger. And the funniest thing about it is, Samuel Jackson, from his role in Pulp Fiction, was actually in a burger shop in the picture eating a burger, which inspired me to say, yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. Just sit down, get a milkshake, nice cheeseburger, nice and big, some steak fries, sit down, get a big bite, eat that sandwich, and play that music. As a matter of fact, I think every morning that I had breakfast, there was this song that came on, I do believe 83.3, this jazz station. I can't remember the name of the song, but I got a feeling before the end of the show we will. It's a song that I play every single morning when I want to get in the mood for eating breakfast, because since we don't sleep at night, by the time we finish off all the things we have to do in the middle of the night and we go to sleep, by the time we wake up, it's lunch. So to make sure I eat breakfast so I can actually function throughout the rest of the day, we listen to this cool jazz song and it helps us out. So that lets you know, folks at home, music truly helps out in the morning routine. Oh man, what a crazy morning to have the Morning Fog make an infamous return. And another segment I do remember that we did have for this show is some morning news as well. And one thing we did catch in the newspaper, exciting news for you fans out there who's looking to have a graduation. Apparently they said they'll be able to have outdoor graduations starting as of July 9th. Yes, that's right, folks. 5 days after the 4th of July, you will be able to walk to get your diploma. And that was the one thing during this whole crisis, besides food shortages and I guess a whole bunch of horror movie scenarios playing out on the street, including something from the crazies where people who are sick would get, I guess, hit with a flamethrower, which I don't think we would go to those extremes to avoid COVID-19, but you never know in these type of worlds. Yeah, was the fact that all the people who graduated, and by the way, everybody already got their diplomas around here around the first week of May. They pretty much said I quit around the first week of May, so school's officially out. Yeah, I was worried that the people who got their diplomas wouldn't be able to truly celebrate it like I did when I got mine. And to think I graduated 13 years ago in the next couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, I remember my graduation almost like it was yesterday. After I graduated and got my diploma and celebrated about it, I went home, watched Monday Night Raw, and then I would turn on the TV to see the whole Chris Benoit thing that happened, and they did an episode of Dark Side of the Ring on it, and my God, if only I knew half the stuff I did about Chris Benoit. Yeah, it's real sad. It really, really is sad. As a wrestler, I still think he's one of the best wrestlers, technical wrestlers in the world. Next to Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and a handful of other cool technical wrestlers I've watched over the years, he is possibly one of the best. But as a person, yeah, let's just say that's a bit of a gray area for me, and I'll just leave it at that. And as a matter of fact, as Maestro scrolls through my phone to try to figure out what the name of that artist was, because I can't remember it for the life of me, the person who actually does all of the retro games, and as a matter of fact, I do believe he has a cool old school soundtrack for, I guess, 2 Extreme on his page. You can head on over to the page of one man only known as, and Maestro said drum roll because he couldn't find it. Oh yeah, here it is. Nostalgia Game Pod, or Nostalgia Games Prod. You can head on over there to his YouTube page to check out a complete playthrough of not only Driver 1, Driver 2, and Driver 3, along with some other retro games, and even the survival mode of Driver 2. Nice! Now, he didn't do Rio for the survival mode, and I'm not sure if I remember if there was a survival mode for Rio, but one thing I do remember was something that I believed online, and I think this was the first crock of crap I actually listened to online when it came to special vehicles, because Driver had a lot of them in very cool hidden areas, but this one was a rumor about a tank, and somebody told me if you're able to jump up to the top of this statue of a tank and actually get out of your car once you go on the top of the tank, you can get a tank. I was trying that all summer one year, only to figure out that it was a lie. And it would be the last time I listened to that website for secret vehicles to this day. Yeah, as a matter of fact, to this day, I would never listen to that site for secret vehicles ever again. But they were right about the vehicle under Shea Stadium. No, not Shea Stadium. Thank you for the correction. It was actually underneath the Wrigley Field. Yeah, Wrigley Field. And also another vehicle that was in a warehouse somewhere in, I guess, Los Angeles. And another one that was somewhere located in Rio. And I think the one in Rio was that giant oversized semi-truck, which to this day, till Driver 3, was probably one of the biggest vehicles in the series next to a bus. Well, besides the bus that was in Havana. But that's a story for another day. And besides all of those secret vehicles, folks, one other good piece of news we have for you folks is that after months and months and months on end, I'm excited to announce from Up Up Down Down, there has been a title defense as of yesterday for Prince Pretty for the Up Up Down Down Championship. And it was against none other than the Prez, aka Jey Uso, who won a title shot to fight for that said championship during WrestleMania weekend. But as you know, with everything going all topsy-turvy in the world, he never got a chance at the Up Up Down Down Championship, but now he's got it. Which is not that bad. And not to mention, for you Up Up Down Down fans out there, within the next 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks during the month of Extreme for us, they will be celebrating their 5-year anniversary of Up Up Down Down. Hard to believe. They've been on for 5 years, we've been on for 6, and by next year we'll be on for 7. Wow, how time flies. And oh, before we go any further into the show, something really funny we wanted to mention to you guys. Our Memorial Day weekend, and something we should have included for the Tuesday night special, but Maestro brought in this giant oversized colorful wheel called the Wonder Wheel that we had a chance to spin for the show for fish and chips. We forgot to mention we went out to 2 separate cookouts this past Memorial Day weekend. One for our cousin that hit us from out of surprise on our dad's side, and then on our mom's side, our cousin DeLeon, who had a cookout, we went over there and saw him. And the first time I was able to see him since November, which was pretty cool. And not to mention, he got a new dog. Not to mention, on top of that, also the family has gone into a dirt bike phase, which I wish I went into back when not this winter, but the winter before this winter, or should I say winter of 2 years ago, when it was actually a winter, when I can actually drive an ATV on the street with the snow. You know, would have been a fun way to go into the Snow Olympics. And speaking of the Olympics, I almost forgot. The Olympics still canceled until next year. So that means that whole summer lineup we had for mentioning a video game story about the Summer Olympics, we might have to kibosh. Or we'll just keep and just say, in honor of the Olympics moving into next year, here's this. Yeah, we're definitely going to keep that video game story because it shows us, it will show you fans out there how crazy the skills of button mashing that my brother has, which makes it very impossible for me to beat him in buried alive matches or certain fighting games. Then again, he hasn't played a fighting game in years, so I probably can get him if he plays the most recent Tekken. That's if he doesn't use Law, I guess Paul Phoenix, and yeah, Law and Paul Phoenix. Those are the only 2 characters I know he's extremely good with. And since Paul became a MMA fighter, that might, change his fighting style up. I might have to test it someday. I really do. Well, outside of all of that, folks, I think it's time for us to go ahead and check out some cool and awesome high scores from the Twitter page of one man only known as High Score. Now, we are only going to go all the way back from May 22nd all the way to the highest high score we can find, since we need to save a couple of those high scores for this Saturday's edition of the Indie Radio Arcade. So, how does 10 high scores sound, Maestro? Oh, he's sitting over there eating a muffin that I bought him, just holding his thumb up, so I think it's alright. So, the first high score that we have up comes from Bam Meese with his high score of 3,525, a part of the ColecoVision game of Wing War. Not bad. Then Bam Meese comes back once again with another high score of 5,260, a part of the ColecoVision game of Blockade Runner. Then you have Frankie with his high score of 13,132, a part of the Atari 8-bit game of Arkanoid 2 under novice difficulty. Of novice difficulty. See, the sleep is starting to get to me. Anyway, folks, besides insomnia taking hold, the next high score that we have up comes from none other than Frankie with his high score of 35,105, a part of the Atari game of Andy the Aardvark. Huh. It seems like a modified version of Dig Dug, with the exception of an anteater using its nose to grab a whole bunch of what appears to be ants and trying to avoid other creatures in the underground tunnels that they've dug. Huh, not bad. Anyway, next high score that we have up, and love this game by the way, comes from the gamer known as the Cyrix 63, and hopefully we said that name right, with his high score of 63,110, a part of the Namco Museum game of Pole Position for the PS2. Not bad. I still remember playing the Tycho RC version, which I flipped the score on that, but you'll hear more about that in November. Besides that, next high score that we have up comes from Speedy 4759123 with his high score of 33,264 from the video game known as Arcadium on the Android. Yeah, Arcadium. It sounds like a metal. We might use that for Under the Radar, by the way, too, because I just remembered after this week, we just got out of the 50s and about to head into the 60s, so we're definitely going to need a new metal element to surpass silver that we already did for 250. Wow, it's already been 10 weeks. My God, time is going by quicker than I last remembered. But before we go into a why in the world I feel like I'm in a time warp moment, the next high score that we have up comes from Frankie with his high score of 3,182,650, a part of the Amiga game of Super Frog for the Commodore. Nice. And the last but not least high score that we have up, and Maestro said it's okay to read at least 3 more, so this high score and the next 2 that we have up comes from none other than Frankie with his high score of 1,300, a part of the Commodore game of Donkey Downfall. Not bad. And next high score we have up after that comes from Ed1475 with his high score of 4,600, a part of the PC game of Mega Race under hardened difficulty. And now the last but not least high score that we have up for this week, until the Indie Radio Arcade that is, comes from none other than Plus4 Punk, nice name by the way, with his high score of 182,840, a part of the Caligula Vision game of Mousetrap Skill 2. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool high scores that are currently coming through the Twitterverse as we speak, and I'm not kidding when I say that because another 10 just came in, you can go ahead and head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as High Score, or head on over to their Twitter page known as @HighScore, which is the same thing according to the Maestro, but here's something that's not the same, their website known as highscore.com, where you can win cool prizes for your high scores. And like we say all the time around here, folks, is a fair trade. And to this day, folks, the high score that still stands the test of time comes from Speedy 4759123 with his high score of 18,476,710, a part of the pinball arcade game of Scared Stiff for the PS4. So I got a feeling he's gonna probably go home with that high score title rank, unless somebody this Saturday or Sunday, depending on how our schedule goes, throws him off the mountain. And I'm really hoping you guys and gals out there keep up those high scores so we can see who's going to be able to knock him off before we head into the month of Extreme. which I really wish the next pay-per-view would have been Extreme Rules, but for some strange reason, WWE's pay-per-view order list seems to change more times than a wiper blade while it's going left and right on your windshields. Cause I'm pretty sure they got rid of Backlash one year, then brought it back, then got rid of it, then brought it back again, and now with the headlining match of the greatest match ever with Edge versus Randy Orton, I still question them saying that for this match because it's going to have a lot to live up to, especially with how many people were so dissatisfied with the last man standing match that took place at this year's WrestleMania. Yeah, a lot of people were not happy with that match probably because of the length or just because it was a slow build-up, but with how much stuff that went on between Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix, especially with Beth Phoenix getting RKO'd by Randy Orton, yeah, this had to have that moment for this match. I mean, I'm not really defending the match, but nevertheless, I thought it was okay. I really did. And oh, speaking of wrestling, folks, we almost forgot to mention, besides Liv Morgan saying that she's going to try to find her destiny and she's living her best life, we would also hear from the 24/7 champion Ron Gronkowski this past Monday on Monday Night Raw, saying that he's got eyes in the back of his head and he knows where R-Truth's going to be coming because he gave him his location. And he said to challenge him anytime because he's not losing this 24/7 7-Eleven I-95 South championship. I forgot what else he added to it to put his own special spin on it, but yeah, he's in for keeps with that championship belt. But I got a feeling R-Truth may get it back and become a, 31 or 41 time champion. I can only imagine how many times that man held that belt, but it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the Maestro asks, since we're on this early morning schedule and trying to figure things out for Music Village this Friday, which should be the last regular week show we have for this month, are we going to do another episode of the NXT review? Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, this Friday we will be reviewing NXT, and I don't remember what day Takeover in Your House is going to be, but according to what somebody told me, it's going to be the day after Backlash. I don't know. Oh, wait, if it is, are they going to have that guy over on that show who actually sold the house on In Your House? And he sold it to an 11-year-old boy, too, to make things even better. Oh, thank you. Maestro actually pulled up the list. Apparently, Takeover in Your House is going to take place on June 7th of 2020. So that means a week before the greatest match ever that's going to take place at Backlash. So I do believe we will have not only a match card review for it, but we will also end up reviewing that said pay-per-view for Under the Radar for the second show we're gonna have for the month of Extreme, because I do believe June 1st is on a Monday, so yeah, we're gonna get ready to fly low and stay under the radar for that week. Yeah. So you're gonna get 2 wrestling reviews next month. I don't know how we're gonna pull it off, but we will. And with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to pull up the old fancy harpsichord and get prepared to review some lavish and beautiful homes for another edition of the Lifestyles of the Digitally Rich and Famous. Seriously, Maestro, we need to get a harpsichord for this. At least one. Even if it's the Triple H version of his entrance harpsichord, or even cooler, that David Bowie, I'd rather be high Louis Vuitton commercial harpsichord. We need a harpsichord. When's the soonest time you can get one? What do you mean you can't get a harpsichord anytime soon because of this outbreak? Well, you got a point there. I don't think there's any music stores left around us. And I think that piano store that did sell a harpsichord went out of business at least 10 years ago. Yeah, so it may be a while, folks, for that harpsichord. So, hold your breath on that one. Anyway, the first house that we have up comes from none other than Puff Daddy 5176. Nice name, by the way, with their said house. Entitlement Manor. How in the world did I get that word wrong? Lack of sleep. And this beautiful one bed, one bath manor comes with not only a 2-car garage, a fully equipped state-of-the-art kitchen with an open air dining room and fully stocked bathroom with full bath and separate shower stall. Oh, ooh, ah. And the fact that this house can be built upon to make it even bigger to have more rooms, feeling that several of you out there would rather just have the one room for the maximum amount of property and privacy for yourselves. And to make things even better, folks, in the front yard, they have a heart-shaped garden just waiting for you. And a gate guarding anything from coming inside of the house. So yes, like we say all the time around here, it's good to have a fence to avoid the zombies, and this house has one. Not bad. Not bad at all. And the next house that we have up... Oh wait, what did you say, Maestro? Apparently the Maestro said, can it have a firehouse next to it? And yes, it can. Because, I usually ask that. Thank you for adding that one in. But anyway, folks, back to the next house that we have up, which comes from none other than F23RT with their said house, White Goth. And this beautiful house that comes with a beautiful swimming pool, tree vista, and not only that, but a maze in the side of the house as well, is a beautiful 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom home that is a little bit smaller than most, but with the lack of size this house has, it has beauty to make up for it. And the best part about this said house is that it has its own driveway garage that's right next to the maze and the litany list of trees that are on the outside of the house. Yeah, a lot of shrubbery for this said home, and not to mention a fence to also protect yourself from the zombies. But then again, with the maze that they have back here, I don't think the zombies are going to be able to find you when they get lost in it. As a matter of fact, that maze sort of reminds me of the maze from The Shining, except that maze was huge. This maze, a little bit smaller, but hey, still can get lost in it. And the next house that we have up comes from the creator Ismail DMA with their said house, Spring Leaf 3. And this said beautiful 2-bedroom, they scratched that, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house is a sort of modification of one of the original houses you can get from Springside Valley. Or I do believe from the first town you go to. I changed it to Springside Valley, but I forgot the original name of it. Either way, let's just say beautiful house. Not to mention a driveway that you can get along with a beautiful fence protecting your loved ones and children with a playground in the front of the house. Not bad. Complete with money trees too. Thank you for pointing that out, Maestro. Because I almost forgot to mention this house comes with money trees. Yikes. So you'll be able to get your money back very soon if you're able to water the garden of this said house to actually keep the money trees alive, which I really recommend you do. And who said money doesn't grow on trees? Not me. And the next house that we have up comes from the creator Ms. Garot or Mr. Scott 13. Yeah, we'll go with the second name. With their said house, Blue Way, 3-bathroom, 3-bedroom. And this house, which comes with, well, self-explanatory 3 bedrooms and 3 baths, also includes a swimming pool and a whole large swath space for whatever your Sims need. Great home for a small price. And that's what they read in the description for this said house, but in my personal opinion, this beautiful blue house is the perfect house I would need for the new family I'm most likely going to create this weekend before this month goes out. And not to mention with a very unique roof on the top, and a swimming pool that is in the front yard of the house. Not bad. Not bad at all. But I think I may need to move some things around to have some form of driveway for the house. But seeing the fact that the people who are going to be living in this house are most likely going to be people who can fly on broomsticks, I don't think it's going to be necessary. No, I don't. And speaking of evil creatures living in a house, the next house that we have up, or should I say castle, comes from the creator Razvaroa with his said house, Dracula Castle. And this said castle that actually has Count Dracula living in it is a multi-room house with no bathrooms but several coffins in it. Sees Dracula living in a beautiful home with a overly sized fence surrounding it, and even a fountain in the front of the house with a beautiful garden that I got a feeling he has his bone maid keeping clean for him. And the best thing about this house, folks, is that it only has several items from the exchange page included in it, which means there won't be that many modifications if you don't have these items from the exchange. And in my opinion, with a house this huge, I can only imagine how many people he lured in here and drained them for subsistence. Because there's a picture of the guy who actually lives in this house, and according to the maestro, he is the 138th descendant of Dracula. You sure it's not the 138,000th descendant of Dracula? No, he said the 138th descendant. He was right the first time. Alright, right. Anyway, folks, the next house that we have up comes from the creator 44514 with their said house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Adobe Outpost. Not bad. Which comes from the PS3 Pets version of the game, which is, well, self-explanatory. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a beautiful tree in the outside of the said home and a 1-car garage, or driveway in this case. It's a very beautiful home if you're looking to live in a house for not much money in your pockets, which, according to the maestro, is the opposite of what we're trying to go for here, because this is the lifestyle of the digitally rich and famous. So every house we mention on this show has to be above 6 figures for us to mention it, and according to the maestro, after looking at the price tag of half the things in this house, it qualifies, but barely. So yeah, for those looking to live a rich lifestyle in a house that you can afford that won't break the bank, this is the house for you. As long as it's unfurnished. Because if you have half the items that was actually in this house, let's just say it'll cost you a lot. And the next house that we have up once again comes from 44514 with his house named Greener Acres, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. And for some strange reason, just like Full House going Fuller House, I have a feeling if there's any members left living from the Green Acres cast, they would probably have something called Greener Acres, probably on Netflix next month. And if you don't believe me, something like that would happen. I wanted to say this for the longest amount of time, but I keep on forgetting. For those who remembered back the Indie Awards that we did, back to the Indie Awards that we did a commercial for a movie for Demolition Man 2. Notice how a couple of months later, Sylvester Stallone would say, yeah, Demo 2 is in the works. Just like the year prior when we were talking about the Mighty Ducks 2 or the Mighty Ducks 4, A New Flock. Yeah, they came out with a Mighty Ducks series. You see a pattern here? I got a feeling we really are shaping the future of movies from past movie sequels that are never done. So I think if I come up with another Speed sequel, don't you think there should be another Speed movie? According to the Maestro, no, especially after what happened with Speed 2. But that wasn't their fault. Keanu Reeves wasn't in it, but all of the other original actors was. Including the guy who played the Green Goblin, who was, I think, the main villain in this movie. Or it wasn't him? We gotta review that movie someday to really make sure that was him or wasn't him in the film. But we're getting a little bit too off track here, folks. This house that does come with a beautiful garage and a very beautiful house and a backyard that is fit for a king also comes with a fence to protect you from zombies. And also a beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, garden in the front of this home as well. And not to mention with enough room for you to actually extend that driveway out or garage to actually turn it into a firehouse garage where you can actually do your ambition job to become a firefighter or even a detective like I did, or with the high possibility of doing a magician job in that said garage. But if you're like me, who did the fire job so many times and didn't die once, but yet be a magician once and end up getting killed during one of my acts, yeah, you might have a safer bet with being a firefighter. But nevertheless, awesome home to live in, and I recommend it to all those out there. And the next house that we have up, which comes from Alien_243 with their said house, Dream House. And my God, this house looks like it came out of a dream that he might have had. Because not only this house is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, if you're able to turn it that way, also comes with a beautiful lake and a beautiful bridge that goes over that said lake, also with a swimming pool in the back, and even an area where you can fish for fish that would be in this said pond. And also a beautiful fountain in the front of this said house as well. And yeah, no fencing around this said house, but I got a feeling that the zombies during the Supernatural pack would probably say that this house is so beautiful that they wouldn't mess with it. But just in case, make sure you have some form of fencing around this house if you do the Supernatural pack for this game. Or just don't answer the door after midnight. Or have anybody who wakes up in an angry slumber and tries to answer the house in the middle of the night. It won't end well for you. And the next house that we have up, and according to the Maestro, are we going to read off 10 this week? Why, yes we are. For this Milestone edition of the show, yes we are. And the next house we have up comes from none other than Pandera 1978, nice name by the way, with their house, Tiny House. And this house that has only 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, or half a bathroom in this case, is a beautiful micro home that will be perfect and won't break the bank if you decide to live in it. And to make it even better, folks, this house was built on the smallest land we've ever mentioned for a work in progress for the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous, which is a 20 by 15 land size, which still gives you enough room with this small and tiny, yeah, I've invented a new word now, sminy house. This tiny, small-like house that you can actually put a driveway in and still have enough room for a garden on the side. So for anybody out there looking for a small house to live in and don't want to be bothered by neighbors, this house is perfect for you. With the exception of the glass panels on the front, it should be an alright house. And zombies won't attack it, because they don't know how to approach houses this small. But don't be fooled by the smallness of this house, folks. This house costs a fortune to live in. Trust me, we wouldn't mention it on the show otherwise. And speaking of very expensive houses that are different in size, folks, the last but not least house that we have up for this week comes from the creator Magazine. We'll go with that one with their said house, Chateau Saint Marin. And this beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, multi-room house, and don't ask me to count it, Maestro, because there's so many rooms in this big, oversized house, it's not even funny. It's an awesome house if you're looking to have that ultimate accomplishment of having a house bigger than most. And to make things even better, folks, to make sure nobody comes into this home, the only way you can get in is from the bridge that he made for the said home. Because the house is surrounded by a giant oversized swimming pool in the front. Which, by far, for the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous, a house with a moat in the front probably has to be one of my favorite houses we've mentioned to date. And I gotta save this house, and I gotta remind Maestro to keep this house up, because, yeah, a house with a moat in front of it. Granted, there is no driveway for this home, but any house that you can go to that has a giant oversized moat in front of it says you win the second anybody comes over your house. And not to mention, the envy levels will go through the roof once they see how many different rooms that can house them and their entire generations of families, with you to still have a place to play racquetball in. That's the way to describe this house. And I'm not even worried about the zombies, Maestro, because it's a moat. It's a moat. Come on. How in the world is a zombie going to make it over a moat? But then again, if you remember Land of the Dead, the zombies were able to actually go into the water and surface back up. But I don't think that's going to be a problem here. Zombies can't swim in The Sims. I hope. And if you guys want to go ahead and... Oh, we almost forgot. The house of the week out of all 10 of the houses that we mentioned, bar none, between Count Dracula's manor that was created by Razarora, our favorite house has to be from Magna Sin with their said house, Chateau Saint Marin. And yeah, like we said before, absolutely beautiful house, and the reason why we love it so much, moat in the front, multi-house rooms on a 60 by 60 property that'll definitely make your neighbors grit their teeth wondering, how in the world did he get that much money to live in a house like that? Simple. I worked hard for it. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool and lavish homes that'll most likely break your bank account wide open once you get into them, you can head on over to the Sims 3 exchange page, only known as thesims3.com, and just click on that exchange button and head all the way down to the lots to check out 7 to 8 to 9 to sometimes 10-figure homes that'll have you having 8-bit caviar wishes and digital champagne dreams. I find it funny that we haven't done a show of a work in progress in well over a month, and we're still able to recite that line perfectly. just perfectly, like these homes. Oh! And before I was gonna mention anything else about these beautiful homes, folks, my show has rung the bell, which means it's just about that time for us to get out of here. So, for this week, if you missed anything, and I do mean anything for this week's show, you can head on over to our Facebook, Tumblr, or even SoundCloud pages that are still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio, under the hashtag A Work in Progress 30. Hard to believe we made it to 30 episodes, and according to the maestro, with this, our grand total of shows we've done is well over 105, I do believe. Even though technically, if we're counting only weekly shows that we have a playlist for, we are only about 5 to 4 more shows left until we hit a full 1,000 episodes. But we celebrated it already, so yeah, 1,000 episodes in over 6 years. Still pretty good to us. And if you guys want to figure out what the crazy and zany things that we still got prepared for these remaining days of this month of arcade wonderment, aka our Maycation, heading directly into the month of extreme, like a show milestone that came from out of a foggy morning out of nowhere, you can go ahead and check it out on our Twitter/YouTube pages, still named the same, only known as the Double Agent 012. And just as a heads up, folks, this will be the first episode of a work in progress we will upload to YouTube, hopefully before the end of the day. And if not, we'll upload this Thursday and then upload the Tuesday night special later on tonight for Wednesday, even though it took place on a Wednesday morning. Either way, we've got a busy day ahead of us, and I got a feeling no sleep in between all of it. So technically today is one of those no sleep till Brooklyn days, so Maestro, can I do it? Oh, he said we have enough time to do it, so no sleep till Brooklyn! And that's the last air guitar moment we're gonna have for a while for the No Sleep Till Brooklyn, so you're welcome. And before we head out for today, we would like to thank, as always, you, the fans out there, for listening in to a very special Random Morning Fog Milestone edition of A Work in Progress. And we would also like to thank, alongside with them, you, the independent artists out there, for delivering that musical goodness like you always do, and keeping us inspired and energized enough to do this show approximately now an hour after we did the Tuesday night special. According to the Maestro, as a matter of fact, 2 hours after we did the Tuesday night special. Jeez. Our sleep cycle is gonna get ruined, but it was well worth it for you guys out there. And speaking of the people who made this show well worth it, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Technoax, with his song Streetwalk Manifesto that was featured during the intro and will be featured once again during the outro for this week's edition of A Work in Progress. And as always, Technoax, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And, you know, I think this would be the second show in under 2 hours that he would get thanked for. My God. You know, like we said before, Technoax, keep up the great work. And finally, last but not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming up with all those sweet, sweet high scores that we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And keep those high scores coming, folks, because we're definitely going to need them for this weekend's edition of the Indie Radio Arcade. And that's as good as that gonna get, folks, because it's too early in the morning and I think the neighbor's dog already heard me and is barking across the street. Really, very sensitive ears on that dog. But besides the neighbor's dog and the fog that is still coming up this morning, I think we should really wrap this up by saying, on behalf of the maestro, I'm DJ Smokey saying, when there's smoke, there's fire, and we'll see you guys next month, most likely in the middle of it, for another crazy, out of nowhere, extreme edition of a work in progress. But until then, folks, thank you for watching, thank you for participating in well over 30 episodes, and good night, everybody.
Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on